Well, for more on China's ties with France, I'm joined by Huiyao Wang in Beijing. He is the founder and president of the Center for China and Globalization, a Chinese-based think tank. He's also a former counselor for the China State Council. Thank you so much for joining our program today.
Thank you.
Well, we heard from President Xi in his speech there talk about this unique history of China-France relations. In your opinion, why has this relationship been so strong for these past 60 years?
Yes, actually, France and China established diplomatic ties in January 1964, exactly 60 years ago, which France is one of the earliest Western major powers to recognize China. And actually, the General Charles de Gaulle actually took the lead on that, and he has a very great vision. He said he has to listen to China, and vice versa, China has to listen to the world. So, I mean, that grand vision brought the two countries together, established the diplomatic ties during between the two great leaders, Chairman Mao and General Charles de Gaulle. So that actually history has evolved over the 60 years. And France and China has so many similarities. They have a rich culture, abundant cooperation, and of course also the heritage of the culture, tourism, student exchanges, all those people-to-people exchanges are ever strong, but also industrial cooperation, and of course many other areas. So I think the 60 years has seen the big differences being made by France and China together in this great diplomatic ties, and that actually take the lead in the Western country to recognize China. So I think France has played an important role in maintaining China-Western relations. And now the two countries are also permanent members of the Security Council of UN, and they have so much in common to, as they demonstrated in the reception that President Xi speak and President Macron speak, that both countries now are facing a new challenging world. We have to work together.
That is actually a nice segue into my next question. And you mentioned both countries are UN permanent members of the UN Security Council. Of course, 60 years ago, the world was much different than it is now. Both China and France have emphasized that they need to work together on these global challenges we have, the many that we have, conflicts in Israel and Gaza, between Russia and Ukraine. How do you see that playing out, particularly when it comes to being a mediator in these international crises and those that will end up developing?
Absolutely, that's crucial. I mean, now we are entering a more fragmented and more dangerous world now. I mean, we see conflicts that's happening everywhere. I mean, big or small, but notably, of course, the Russian-Ukraine conflict. Of course, the Gaza crisis that we're seeing right now. And China and France, being two major permanent members of the Security Council, has a moral responsibility. And then they have to talk together and act together and take the lead in this multipolar world. And where France pursue a quite strategic independence, and China, of course, is also quite independent and so on. So I think the two has a very good consensus on maintaining the global order. And of course, I remember last year when President Macron came to Beijing and met President Xi, and they have a very good discussion. They were in Beijing. President Xi accompanied President Macron to Guangzhou. And afterwards, subsequently, actually, President Xi talked to Zelensky, but also China has established an envoy for the crisis of Ukraine. I mean, the Russian war on Ukraine, actually. So you can see that now for the Gaza, the Middle East crisis, the Israel-Palestinian crisis, we need another strong leadership. So I hope that President Macron and President Xi, they can play also more active role there. I hope that President Xi can visit France sometime, and so we can see more leadership coming from the two major powers of the Security Council, where badly needed. I think we need a lot of moral leadership and strong determination, and a call for peace, ceasefire in this part of the world. We have the world of conflict, and we need to continue to pursue inclusive globalization. I think where China and France take a leading role in that, where I think globalization, inclusive globalization, is still the trend, and where China and France strongly support that.
Another big global challenge, of course, is the environment, climate change. We're talking about green energy, alternative energies. How have the two countries cooperated in this sense, and how do you see that relationship evolving?
That's another very important area. We have to, I mean, it's ironically we see so many conflict among the human beings throughout the world. I mean, the different nationalities. But as a matter of fact, our common threat, our common enemy is climate. Is climate threat, climate changes. That's important that Paris Accord, which is established, reached in France, where China greatly support that, has to be maintained, and China has a great interest to do that. And China would like to work with France closely, including other major US, EU, and other major global South countries to do that. China already developed very big energy saving, effective energy, new energy resources, but also trying to contain the thermal and fossil fuel that development. China renewable energy has already become more than 50% of all the energy in China now. And so I think there's a lot of common ground that China and France can work together. France is also the first country signed the agreement with China to work in the third countries, which means that in Africa, there's global South countries, there's a lot of area that both China and France can work together, can harness their technology of energy saving and clean, sustainable development mechanisms, so that we can apply that both for China and France, but also global South countries and other countries. So I think the two countries, being the two largest, the Security Council, one of those large members, we should really work together. And then France and China could set a good example, maintain the Paris Accord, and achieve this 1.5 degree target as much as we can. And I think that France and China has a great examples to work together. And let's get all the other countries to work together towards the right direction, rather than we are really decouple the risk and really human beings. We have to recouple and reunited, and then to fight the common threat. I think that kind of momentum, that kind of a message sent by both countries are very important.
If I could just interrupt you, I want to talk really briefly, we just have a short time left, about cultural exchanges. President Xi mentioned this year's China-France Year of Culture and Tourism. How important are these exchanges when it comes to this particular relationship?
That's actually, I think that's a backbone, and that's the a keystone actually of the bilateral relation. We're going to see 200-some events celebrated in China, in France, of the 60th anniversary, probably with high-level visit. That's very important, and tourism. Paris is the largest destination for Chinese tourists. We hope to continue that. I was in Charles de Gaulle Airport. I mean, there was only 3 signs: French, English, and Chinese. That's remarkable. I think that is very important. We see more student exchanges, cultural exchanges. This is vital, and we need to do that continuously. And that can sort of set a good example for the other countries. We hope China can lift more visa-free for more countries, so that we can have more exchanges between the peoples, between China and France and the rest of the world.
Huiyao Wang, thank you so much for your insight today.
Thank you.